In this video tutorial, we're going to be talking about color contrast, and how to use them correctly. WCAG 2.0 defines adequate color contrast based on the size of the text. Level AA requires a color contrast ratio of 4.5 to 1 for normal text, which is font weights about up to 18 points, and 3:1 ratio for a large text, which is 14 points bold or larger with non-bold. Level AAA requires a contrast ratio of 7:1 for normal text and 4.5:1 for large text. But don't worry about knowing these number ratios. Most of the time, you'll be good if you just eyeball it. A very dark text against a very light background will be a good general starting place. And use a contrast checker to check the contrast ratio only when you're not sure. And I will demo the tool in a later tutorial. Rainbow color schemes are confusing to the eye because there are some of the colors that have adequate contrast, but some don't. So it's difficult to effectively use a rainbow color scheme like this one, and I recommend to avoid it. Now, even if you put on a dark background, it's still not good enough. And now you have additional problem with color vibrations. Black on white contrast is 21:1 ratio. But sometimes you might want to use colors other than just black and white. So take a look at the following examples. Consider avoiding red and green color combinations, especially where the differentiating between the two areas is critical, like the image on the left side. The image on the right is what the image will look like, or the color will look like, to someone with the red-green color blindness. Again, I will demo the tool to help you check for different type of color blindness later in session 3. And what if you have to add some text to an image or background with patterns? This is hard to read. Now, if you try to add a highlighted box behind the text to create a higher contrast over the image, it's easier to read. Or you can simply separate the text and the image to improve the visibility even more, like in this examples. Now, let's talk about color emphasis. And what is wrong with this example? You use the red to emphasize these 3 words in this sentence. This is bad because what if the reader is colorblind? Then they will miss the emphasis on these 3 words. So you should never use color alone to indicate information of the importance. Some people in the audience will miss it, either because of the low vision or color blindness. This example is much better because you use color plus boldface and the word important with the colon to show emphasis. And please note that adaptive technology most often don't read the style of the type And that's why the word important will really help to emphasize that in this case. It's not going to read, these words are bold and therefore they're important. And don't use color plus underline for emphasis, because it will look like a hyperlink. On the web page, it will look like a broken link when they click on it and nothing happens. And in print, the reader will be frustrated because they can't click on it. Also, try not to use color plus italic, which is hard to read, and especially in large doses, and it also should be reserved for conventional book titles and foreign words. Here are 3 key takeaways. 1. Never use color alone to convey important information. 2. Provide adequate contrast between foregrounds and background for both images and the text. 3. Don't use color code in your document. Examples such as, the following test dates are in red, etc.